It's about getting into schools and talking to young people because, you know, I know that people can change. And it's about talking to people and getting them to understand and perhaps step back from violence and prejudice and whatever. And we just need to work together and keep on the good fight there.
Absolutely. Hey there, guys. We are ecstatically happy to announce that we are associated with the Sophie Lancaster Foundation.
The times are changing, and with the unfortunate death of Sophie, those changes have made a massive impact for the future. If Sophie was with us still today, I can guarantee what you are doing will still be reaching so many lives of young teenagers, young adults, and those who wish to be as different as possible. So thank you very much.
To find out more about this incredible foundation and all the work they do, and more importantly, how you can help, head on over to www.sophielancasterfoundation.com.
Hello, I'm Chesney. I am a singer-songwriter with many, many songs to my back catalogue, including one called The One and Only. And you are listening to the Chronicles of Podcast with Jamie and Tom.
Oh, you didn't.
Yeah.
Oh, guys, you're way too kind. Welcome back. Jamie. Oh, sorry, again. I know, Claire's favourite part. Here we go. Hi, guys. It's the Chronicles of Podcast. We're back again for the 46th edition, Jamie.
Tall, sir.
And I believe that, Jamie,
yes,
these are the Chronicles of Chesney Hawkes. Yeah. I guess I'll get this show on the road then. Should I drive?
Sure.
Hit it. But I guess this is what I've been waiting for, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it is.
This is the piece. The piece of resistance.
Piece.
Should we bring the piece in?
I think we definitely should bring the piece in.
Welcome to the Chronicles of Chesney Hawkes. Yes, we know. All right. Anyway, everybody know who Chesney Hawkes is. I don't even need to go into it, to be honest with you. We were so lucky and so privileged to be able to talk to the legend that is Chesney Hawkes, the 90s icon, teenage icon, that became an overnight sensation with his huge hit that's still out all over the world. There's not one person on this earth that doesn't know this track, The One and Only.
This was nuts. I remember booking this. Like, I remember stumbling upon an email address for him and was thinking, you know, this would be a laugh, wouldn't it? And then I was in the pub with my friends and I got the email back saying, yeah, sure, let's set up a date. I was like, holy shit, I'm going to talk to Chesney Hawkes. Superb. Like, this interview is more than I even anticipated it being. We knew it'd be fun. Chesney's a great character, but my God, this is so much fun.
Yeah, the Big Brother, the Master Chef conversations are just out of this world. I'm a Celebrity. There's some stuff in there that it's just a great interview. I kind of don't want to oversell it. I kind of want to be like, guys, you just need to watch the interview and check it out.
But I think the most important thing that comes out of this that I need to push to everyone is Chesney is more than this one bloody song.
Yes.
He has got a box set album out called The Complete Picture. It's got all of his albums in it. Listen to it. Because genuinely, and I'm not just saying this because he's on our show, genuinely some incredibly great songs. He's an amazing voice. Like, his songs are so well written. They're incredible. Please go check out Chesney's music because you won't be disappointed. There's some genuinely great songs in it, and he's a great human being. And yeah, I love this so much.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think we should wait any longer or leave it. You're spot on. Jamie.
Yes, sir.
Any final words
Just a massive thank you to Chesney for coming on. A massive thank you to Leanne from your team who we were dealing with this entire time to get this set up. It is an absolute honour to speak to you, sir. We enjoyed this so damn much.
Chesney, thank you for taking the time out to sit down and chat to us. We know you're a very busy human, but this is great, and I look forward to round 2, sir.
Oh, yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, interviewing this week, a man who needs no introduction. He is the one and only. It's Chesney Hawkes.
So, anyway, here we are.
Yeah, thank you so much for doing this, Ches. We really appreciate it massively. So I know you're obviously a very busy boy. So
It's my pleasure, mate. My absolute pleasure.
I just like that straight off the bat. You're right, Ches.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Chesers.
What's going on, Ox?
Funnily enough, Ox is my nickname with a lot of my friends and all my nephews and stuff. They all call me Uncle Ox. And it came from, I was at a stag do in Portugal, and a bunch of lads, and we were all giving our passports to the guy at the hotel reception. And he's going, Mr. Mackenzie, Mr. Smith, Mr. Ox. And so I became Ox. That was it.
Super.
That is fantastic.
Yeah.
That'll be it. That's for the rest of this show now. It's just gonna be, that's all the artwork's gonna say that, and everything. It's just gonna be Ox.
Ox it is. That's fine. Well, I answer to it. I answer to a few different things. That's one of them.
Oh, okay.
I don't answer to the one and only.
Oh, yeah. Obviously, that will be touched on, but I can imagine that probably gets quite like, yes, that is a song of mine. You do know I've got like 4 other albums, right? Like,
yeah, it happens. Yeah, but no, it's not. I'm not like bitter about it or anything like that at all. I'm very proud of that record, and it's obviously a huge part of my career and my life, and I've had ups and downs with it over the years. We fell out for a while, and but these days we're like, friends with benefits, shall we say?
Yeah. That's a good way to look at it. But I can imagine it probably gets a bit like, because I see so many people associate you with just that track.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it can be. I mean, it's one of the questions I get. Is it an albatross around your neck, or how do you feel about it? So no, I love it now, and I've kind of like given up ownership of the records because so many people have like emotional connections with it. And over the years I've had so many different letters and emails and social media messages to people that played at their blood brother's funeral, or or it was played at their wedding, or it was playing at a club when they met their girlfriend and it's now their wife. Just all sorts of stories you can imagine. So nowadays I feel like I'm more like the kind of custodian of the record, rather than what I mean. But then I've been doing like these nostalgia festivals like Rewinds, Let's Rocks and Forever Young and all that kind of stuff, and when I play that song you can just feel the energy lift. It's just one of those songs, and it's like a song with wings. There's a little extra fairy dust sprinkled on that fucker.
Right, before we get started, I'd like to do a little introduction to welcome you to our listeners, and then, as Tom likes to say, we just bombard the living hell out of you with questions. How does that sound?
You got it.
Ladies and gentlemen, today we bring you, quite frankly, a pop culture legend. Today's guest released a song when he was 19 years old that cemented his place into pop culture history, and a beloved figure known all over the world. His career has given him amazing opportunities and moments in the world of music and beyond. Boys and girls, this week we bring you the one and only, because these are the Chronicles of Chesney Hawkes.
What a lovely intro. Thank you, Aaron. You worked hard on that one, didn't you?
I did.
I'm very proud of you, Jamie. I'm very proud of you.
That's good. That's been said at my funeral now. Chesney's so proud of him. We all loved him.
But I suppose we should get down to the nitty-gritty straight away.
We loved him, but Chesney was proud. Sure.
Sorry, my internet's having an absolute mare at the moment, so I do apologise massively about that. So if I'm interrupting you, I don't mean to. How was the last couple of years for you, sir, during the pandemic season?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, as everybody, has different stories about the pandemic. But for me, my work stopped. So I had a whole full schedule that year and the year after. Yeah. And basically, I'm used to being away from home on tour, pretty much, I don't know, 3/4 of the time. Yeah. And, I've never been home for that length of time, ever. So, certainly since my kids were little, and so it was actually, in many ways, it was really nice. I had time with the kids. We had all sorts of like family things that we wouldn't have done. It's just actually really nice, just have dinners together and just take the dogs for a walk together. And, we even had like board games. And like at one point, I think we had a jigsaw puzzle across the dining room table for like 3 months of that through the lockdowns, And I don't know, it was just kind of really nice. I kind of didn't want it to end in that respect, except for that I needed to earn some money. A lot of people got similar stories, haven't they, where it felt like, just kind of getting off the train for a second. And I was like, oh, wow, I can actually breathe for a little bit here. And, I don't have to rush around like a blue-ass fly. And I can actually do some stuff that I want to do here now. So I ended up like, I started a podcast, I finished an album. I finished a musical that I've been working on. I put together a box set. It's just so much got done. I started a bloody TV show, from my studio. It was really nice to be able to kind of do the things that I had put aside because I'm too busy touring and stuff like that. And spend time with the kids. It was great.
Yeah, it's almost like a recharge of the batteries, but you were forced to recharge your batteries. It's like you were forced to enjoy yourself and have spend time with your kids. Yeah, must have been lush.
Yeah, no, it was great. It's funny for like the last 10 years since I moved to the States. I've been kind of banging on about the fact that I want to balance my life a bit more because I don't really like spending a time away from my family. As much as I love being on tour and playing music, I love it. But I've been trying to figure out a way to do it, and then global pandemic. So hopefully I didn't manifest that for you guys. I apologize if I did.
It's one thing I love, though. A lot of the people we talk to, because obviously people are in the world of entertainment and they're busy all the time. They're like, not gonna lie, I really enjoyed that 2 years. I got to chill out for a bit. Yeah.
No, you almost feel embarrassed saying it, to be quite honest, because there's so many people that suffered so horribly. And I've got friends, that live in a bedsit in Balham or whatever, and just couldn't go out. And they, one of my friends has got 2 kids that he's a broken family, and he couldn't see them, and he was just stuck inside this bedsit for like a year and a half. And I couldn't imagine what that's like. At least I was with people that I love the most, and that really made it quite a special time for me.
So take us back, sir, when you were young Master Hawks growing up. What did you want to be when you grew up? Was it always entertainment?
It was always music. My dad always says I came out singing. It was just, I didn't scream. I hit a high F. I just... I proper job that I ever had was a paper boy, but I was Billy Ocean's paper boy. So, that just says it all, really, doesn't it? Yes, yeah. He lived in the road next to us. I know. Isn't that funny? We talk, because now I'm doing these kind of heritage circuits, and of course I bump into Billy now and again. In fact, we're managed by the same manager, so we have a laugh about that, And I always tell him, "Oh no, you were a good tipper. He always gave me 20 quid at Christmas."
Oh, nice!
Aren't your parents are entertainers? Your brothers, your sister, you're all entertainers in your family, aren't you? Is that right?
Yeah. My dad was in the Tremeloes, a very big band in the 60s and 70s, and all his dad's mates were rock and roll stars, like Jerry Marsden was one of Dad's best mates, and Josie Beaky, Mick and Titch, and the Marmalade, and the Searchers, and Herman's Hermits. They were always kind of like hanging around the house, and Dad would always have like these mad parties. And my mum was like a game show hostess, actress. They met on this thing called The Golden Shot, which was a Bob Monkhouse TV show that if you have older listeners would know what that is. she was one of the golden girls on The Golden Shot, so that's how they met. So I grew up in a very rock and roll household, and of course, because of that, the three of us kids, we were never going to become accountants. It was, so Jody, my bro, is a drummer, and he's been my drummer since day one. Amongst other people, he's played with Robert Plant. He played with Deacon Blue. He's quite an in-demand drummer. And my sister is a singer-songwriter. So yeah, that was always going to be our path.
That's so cool. Because obviously, families normally it's like, oh, you should be a doctor, you should be a pilot, you should be an astronaut, whatever. But then this is like the complete opposite way around. It's like, if you don't get into entertainment, Chesney, I swear to God.
Yeah, it's like the family business. Yeah.
It's quite amazing. It's quite amazing how out of three of you, none of you rebelled and were like, no, I'm having a normal life. I'm becoming a vet.
No, it's true. Having said that, my brother, about how long ago now? Maybe 15 years ago, the drumming wasn't kind of doing it for him as far as financially. So he got this little part-time job working for the council, and now he's still there. So he's like part-time working for the council. So he's a civil servant stroke rock drummer. I'm sure there's not many of them.
That's incredible. So I'm guessing your dad must have been like a huge influence on your career, because obviously you and your dad released a song together during in the past couple of years, a cover of Cat Stevens' Father and Son, didn't you?
Yeah, that was a long time ago, actually, Jamie. That was more like kind of 20 years ago now, I think.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, because it was like one of those things that it was like a family thing that we used to play that song. It was like a little family gimmick thing, like parties or whatever. Like we thought, has anyone ever actually that our father and son ever recorded that song? And so years later, we decided to record it. It was actually in the middle of a recording session for one of my albums, and Dad came in one day and I was like, we've got everything set up here, we've got Jody on the drums, and should we just do a little version of Father and Son just for the fuck of it? And so we did, and it was it was something that people really liked, so I ended up releasing it as just to put it out there, and people really responded to it, and we ended up doing it. I did a tour with Dad, probably 5 years ago now. And we did half Tremeloes and half mine, little theatres and things like that. And we did that song as well. So yeah, it's kind of followed us around.
That's amazing. So other than obviously family inspired, has anybody else sort of influenced you in the way of music, or was it literally just through your family?
Oh, I mean, as any artist will say, that they're influenced by everything around them. I mean, I discovered my dad's vinyl collection at a very young age, and as you can probably imagine, it was pretty great. It was like all Beatles and Kinks and Stevie Wonder, and Elvis Costello was in there. So I mean, I fell in love with the Beatles at a very young age, at like 7, 8, 9 years old, and I remember really, really well when John Lennon was shot. I was 9 years old, and it really affected me because I had learned Imagine on the piano. It was like the first thing I'd ever learned, song I'd ever learned. And the piano that we had in our front room used to belong to John Lennon. That's another crazy story. Yeah. It's I'll tell you the story. Basically, so he was working at Titnes Park recording something. And so John Lennon had just sold the place to Ringo and moved to New York at this point. And he turned up to work one day, and there was a beautiful baby grand piano sitting out on the grass in the rain. So he thought, that's a bit weird. And when he came in, he asked the engineer, Mike O'Donnell, who was a family friend, what's going on with the piano out there? And he said, oh yeah, it's actually John's, but Ringo doesn't want it, so he's just put it out on the grass for now, as you do. And so I know. So Dad said, could you ask Ringo, what he wants to do with it, or I'll take it. He did that, So he the next day he came in. He said, did you ask Ringo? And he said, oh yeah, you can take it if you want. So my dad got out, like literally found a van as soon as he possibly could, backed it up to the lawn, shoved this baby grand in the back of this van, and took it back to us. And that's the piano that I learned to play on.
No way.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? So that was in my... Imagine that. I see what you did there. So that piano was in our front room for my whole childhood. And then when my parents moved out of that big house, I inherited it, and it sat in my front room, and my kids started playing on it and stuff. Then when I moved to the States 10 years after that, I gave it to Nik Kershaw. So
That's nuts.
I know, it's mad.
Oh, that's amazing.
So do you reckon Ringo started a trend, because there's pianos everywhere now in train stations and tube stops? So he obviously started something there.
He did. He was an early adopter.
I don't want this. I'm just going to leave it outside, see who takes it.
Yeah, I know. Suddenly Ringo was from Birmingham.
Yeah.
I tried. It was a terrible Beatles impression, but I tried. That's all that is. It sounded good in my head then when I did it out loud. I was like, that was awful.
God.
I don't want to talk about it too much, because no doubt you've discussed it a million bazillion times in your life, but we probably should talk about the song. So,
all right.
For those that don't know, how did you perform in that album and the subsequent song in the film happen? Because it was written by Nik Kershaw, is that right? Yeah,
he wrote the One and Only. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that all came about through I auditioned for this film, Buddy's song, and the reason I auditioned for that film, I'd never acted for in my life, is because Buddy, the character, was a singer-songwriter. It was very kind of musical based, and I thought that's the possibility of the elusive record deal at the end of that, and I'll give it a go. And I just went for it, and it was like a casting call, like an X Factor audition or something, and thousands of kids and everything. But I was just lucky, I was right for the part. I was right age to be Roger's son. I could play piano, I could play guitar, I could sing, and apparently I could act. I had no idea about that, So we made the film, and then there was a soundtrack to be made from the film. So that's where it all came from, and we recorded all the songs from the film. And then the record company were like, we love it. We just think maybe there's a couple of songs more that, extra, maybe a single or something. And that's where the One and Only came along. And my dad found it, actually, because he knew Nik Kershaw's publisher. And he brought it to us in the team. And I was like, well, I really want to meet Nik Kershaw. That was my reason for wanting to do the song. I still got the cassette my dad brought home, actually. It's got about 15 songs on it, and I put a little asterisk by the One and Only, and another song called Oxygen. Anyway, so we were recording at Abbey Road, and we played it at Abbey Road Studio 3 in front of everyone. Roger was there, all the film producers and the record producers and management and record company. There's too many people, and it went down like a lead balloon, to be honest. People didn't really think it was right for the project, and I guess a lot of people kind of in the film side of it wanted to keep it in-house and keep the songs written by us. And I had a few songs on there, and they were like, "You could write something." I was like, "Well, I'll give it a go." But anyway, so I went back like slightly dejected because I thought, I'm not going to meet Nik Kershaw now. Oh well. So over the weekend, the record company. My A&R man, actually, Peter Robinson, he called Dad and said, "All right, maybe we got something here. Let's get the boys' vocal on it." And so the next week, I found myself back at Abbey Road, and Nik was there. I got to meet Nik, and we recorded it, and that was it. It was like, that sounds like a hit. So
did anyone expect for it to be as massive as it is?
I don't think there's ever any expectation of that for a new artist, really. It was because it was my first record. I think people in the record company would have been happy if it was top 40. I mean, for me, I didn't know what to expect, and it was like instantly like, oh, I'm a pop star. It was like I went from being like the guy that plays piano in the corner of a pub, which is what and I'd never ever thought of myself as heart-throb type of thing, or how it ended up being marketed. I was just a musician and a songwriter, and I always wanted to do that, and I never had anything else in my mind. But then One and Only came out, and then suddenly I was like, this teen pop star. So it happened so quickly. I went from literally playing at the Welsh pub on the Saturday to selling out Wembley Arena the next week or whatever. It was ridiculous. Like, it was just mad.
My days. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was mad. Yeah, it was a very much a juxtaposition from like life before and life afterwards. It really was.
Yeah.
How do you cope with that fame, though, that come with it? Obviously, you're 19 years old when that came out. I'm not sure how I'd feel like going, as you say, playing in the corner of a pub, seeing my poster is on like every teen girl's wall in the entire fucking country.
Yeah, that was weird. As I said before, I came from a slightly rock and roll background, so my dad's friends were famous. Dad had some kind of fame, so it wasn't weird. Fame wasn't weird in itself, like the idea of it, if you know what I mean. Like because I knew people that were famous, but when it happens to you, it kind of knocks everything out the water. Like it really is like being in the eye of a storm. When you have that kind of success, especially with a record. I guess the same happens with film stars, like when Leo DiCaprio first made it in the Titanic, and it was like, you're in like one. You don't realise, but you lose everything that's like where your life was before. Like it's just all got. It's just like, okay, just kiss goodbye to that. Whatever trajectory you were on before, that's not happening anymore. And you can't. It's like I couldn't just do normal things like go to the pub or. All my friends was going to university at that point, and it was like all those rites of passage, and and I missed out on that, but I had an incredible experience, and at one point I think I did. It was like I counted 7 countries in one day, because you have to try. You literally have to be everywhere at once. It's mad. So there were times when I would get up in the morning. Or I'd be woken up in the morning, and I'd be like, "Where am I?" And they're like, "Oh, we're in New York. We're going back to London today. We've got TV show there. Then you're going to go to Sweden for a radio interviews, and then we have a gig in Belgium." I was like, "Oh, okay, let's do it." And that's kind of what it was like for a couple of years. It was pretty mental. Yeah.
I bet you were knackered by that. Like, it's just in Belgium.
Well, yeah.
Just give me a minute.
And I'd be like, "Hello, New York." No. Where am I? What language do you guys speak? All right, okay.
Just get some guy standing in front of you, the name of the country written on a piece of card.
Well, I literally we used to have a sign on the side the side fills, like with the town name, because that happened a lot. I know it's kind of one of those funny things that you hear like from Spinal Tap. "Hello, Cleveland," when they're in Baltimore or something.
Yeah.
But that's true. That really happens. They used to put like names of the town you're on in the side fills and the wedges, so that you couldn't screw it up.
That's nuts. But what is it about that song do you think connected to people the way it did? Because as I said in my intro, it's part of pop culture forever. I don't know anyone that doesn't know you or that song.
Yeah. I don't know what it is exactly, but I feel like there's a little bit of extra fairy dust being kind of like sprinkled on that song. It's just maybe the self-empowerment in the lyric itself helps. It's a very interesting pop song, because it's not as a musician you would know this, but it's not your average pop song. Like a lot of the time these songs are like, most pop songs are like 4 chords and the truth. It's really what it is, but the One and Only it's in 4 different keys for a start. So it's a very clever song, like really, really interesting musically. but it just connect. I don't know. It comes together in this amazing work of art. As far as the song goes. I mean, I've always been a massive Nik Kershaw fan, and for me, you can always tell a Nik Kershaw song. And I've learned so much from him over the years writing with him. But I don't know. It's like if we knew what the ingredients were for a massive international, cultural phenomenon hit, I think we would do it again. It's just one of those things. Timing, I guess the timing was really, really good, and any time there's a massive hit like that, everything has to come together. It's the right people at the right timing. It's like the team has to be correct. The timing of the zeitgeist has to be right. It just it all just came together, I guess. And I didn't play after that kind of period. I didn't play it for many years. Right all the way through the 90s. I kind of formed bands. I thought I was in Radiohead, but I just wanted to be in Radiohead. I just like shoegazed and turned up to 11 and told anyone to bugger off if they asked for the One and Only. But that was the period where we'd kind of fallen out, me and the song, and we got back together again, kind of in the early noughties, turning the millennium. When I actually didn't even go out as me. I had different band names and stuff like that, but then I got offered a couple of gigs in universities up and down the country. I can't remember where it was. It was in Nottingham and Lincoln, I think, first two. And I was very trepidatious because I thought people would have forgotten the song and forgotten me because it was like 10 years later, But I didn't need to worry because what I didn't realise what was happening in those 10 years is that the song was being kind of handed down. It became like a student anthem. These kids knew it. They would have been 9-10 years old when the song came out, and then here they are 18-19, and it was like playing a fresher ball, and they were all like singing back to me and had pictures of my face on their t-shirt. It was just weird because you don't expect something that you do, especially as a young man or a young person. You don't realise that time equals cult. It's like becomes iconic, and that's only time does that. It's weird because I was definitely not cool through the 90s. As far as in the media and stuff, I got a lot of shit, and I was that kind of pop teeny thing that people thought I was. A lot of people thought that I was like that one hit wonder thing, and I was probably a puppet, and I was probably marketed by Stock Aitken and Waterman or whatever, and none of that's true. I was always a real musician, and I played all my instruments and everything else, and I was a singer. But it's funny how time just kind of changes how people feel about a certain time in their life. You know what I mean? So that song and that record became iconic over the years, and as time goes on, it has carried on that way. Sometimes that doesn't happen, and I'm very lucky to have something like that in my career. And I'm very grateful for it. I really am, and kind of humbled by it, actually, because it's kind of weird. There's so many people out there that have emotional connections to that record and that time in their life. So when I play it now, it becomes like it's more of just an energy, and people just... you see the energy when I start playing it, and it's amazing. And as I said, I'm very grateful for it now.
I mean, it got played in a lot of clubs. I think it gets played now, but it's like the Killers, Mr. Brightside's now joined you up there.
Yes,
I feel that's like the noughties version of what yours was in the 90s.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, Mr. Brightside and Sex on Fire.
Yes, it's another one. Yeah.
Totally.
But I mean this in the most respectful ways. Like, why is it you think those subsequent singles afterwards just didn't hit on that same note? Because don't get me wrong, they are not bad. I'm a Man, Not a Boy is an incredible song. I would, what's wrong with this picture just makes me want to dance like crazy. I was listening to it while I was on the train, and I was just like, don't dance. They're great songs. I don't get what it was that didn't connect.
I don't know. It's very difficult to kind of pinpoint, why some things go and some things don't. I think what I was talking about earlier on, the kind of timing of things, maybe I look back on those times. I'm not one for regrets, and I'm certainly, I don't regret anything that happened in my life, and what got me to where I am now has made me who I am, and I'm very happy. So I'm not saying this through any filter of bitterness, but perhaps perhaps there was a little bit of overexposure for me at that particular moment. I did everything. I was on everything. I was on every cover. I was on more front covers at that particular time than like New Kids on the Block and or anyone. I was the guy for that year in that world. And I feel like maybe I was even fed up with seeing my face. So maybe the public probably got a little bit fed up with me, and maybe got the little wrong end of the stick with me too, because it's easy to take one song like that and say that's him, that's what he is, now let's put him in that little box, and of course that's never true for any artist, and I had a lot more to give, and so when those follow-up records didn't really do what the One and Only did, I as a young man, I was like, I thought this is what happened. You put a record out, it goes to number one, right, let's do another one.
Yeah.
And of course it doesn't always work like that. And I don't know what it is, what it was. But I could pinpoint some things, but who knows? Who friggin' knows? Who knew what the world had in store for me? But I also say that if I had carried on with that kind of level of fame and that kind of, craziness, I probably wouldn't have met my wife, and I would give all of that up for meeting my wife. So that's the old sliding doors argument, isn't it?
All those girls that followed you when you were a teenager, like, he's still so lovely.
He's a lovely boy.
He's a lovely boy. What I love about you, though, and we just touched on it then, is even though you've had those setbacks, and you went out there and you performed under different band names and whatnot, but you never gave up and still carried on making music. What was it that made you determined to carry on and just follow that passion?
Well, honestly, I think that's part of my personality. I'm a very driven person, and I always was. As a kid, I was like that. Very tenacious. I realised that when you have knockbacks, and of course even before I made it I had knockbacks, and you just have to kind of like get yourself up, dust yourself off and keep going. There's the other side of it, is that I love music. I fucking love it, and I always have, and I always will. And it's like it's my first love. I get up thinking about music. I think I can't pass a guitar without picking it up. I can't. If I pass the piano, I have to play a chord of the day of some sort. I've always got melodies in my head. Maybe because I grew up in music, I don't know, but I could never do anything else for a living. And I've always been so grateful that I'm able to make a living out of playing music. I mean, that's pretty friggin' amazing. I remember Roger Daltrey said that to me once. He said, "Fancy getting paid for what you love." And I was like, that actually went right into my soul when he said that. I was like, "Yep, you're absolutely right. How fucking lucky are we?" So.
But I mean, you're a dab hand in loads of other things, though, Chesney. You've been worshipped on Big Brother. You've cooked on MasterChef. You were meant to do a bit of dancing on ice, but you had a certain instant that, is there anything that you actually can't do?
Well, I'm sure there's loads. I can't fix boats. And I'm looking out the window here at these two guys fixing my dad's boat, and that's not something I could do. It's funny these days when you're a celebrity. I say that in inverted commas. You do anything but what you became famous for. So as you say, I was like MasterChef. I started my reality TV stuff. I did a show called The Games, where I was like training to be Olympic athlete, and it was mad. I was like, what? I was 10-meter diving. That was mad. That was crazy. Water ski jumping, I did that. Yeah. As you say, dancing. I always get injured. I injured myself doing the games. I ripped all the cartilage out of my hip. Yeah, so I've set myself up for future, problems there. And broke my leg doing like dancing on ice, and like really injured my ankle, like another, ligaments snapped and all that kind of shit.
Oh.
And so, my wife's like, right, you're not doing any reality TV show anymore. That's it. No, especially anything where you have to actually, run around or do stuff. Like, that's why she let me do MasterChef. I said, well, I could have cut my finger off. I remember standing next to Tom from The Wanted because he was in the MasterChef when I did it. God rest his soul, by the way. He passed away recently.
Yeah.
I'm so sad to see that. Yeah. Same as Sarah Harding. She was with us as well on that show. It's just awful. Anyway, I'll digress. So we were doing this a baking challenge, and he put his bloody hand inside the friggin' blender, chopped his bloody finger nearly off. Yeah. So I know. So maybe it's me because I was standing right near him when he did it. I mean, so yeah. So I've been banned. So sorry, Ant and Dec, I'm not eating kangaroo anus for anyone.
Wait to the announcement later this year in the jungle, Chesney Hawkes.
I say no. I am always up for a challenge, so I never say never. Yeah, so no, Ant and Dec, if you are listening, you know my number, you know my digits.
You must have had some bizarre requests over the years for little things like that, especially like with the Big Brother thing and whatnot.
Oh, that was weird. As you say, being worshipped by LaToya Jackson and Coolio and Terry Christian. For those of your listeners that don't know what the hell we're talking about, there was a Big Brother about 10 years ago or so where they used the One and Only in a challenge. And every time the song came on really loud, apparently, and it came on like in the middle of the night when they were asleep at 3 a.m. and stuff like that, they must have fucking hated me. They had to stop what they were doing or get up and just go into the garden, and they had to worship at a weird shrine that they'd made with my face on it. And they were all like, getting down on their knees and like praying and stuff. It was so weird. And they did that for a whole week. And then at the end of that week, they asked if I would come down to Boreham Wood to where they were filming it. And I said, well, what do you need me to do? And they went, we want you, I can't even know I'm saying this, we want you in a cherry picker crane to be like raised above the garden while the One and Only's playing. And then I just kind of like, I don't know, I looked down at my subjects or something. and that's what happened. They raised me up again, above the garden, and then I looked down, and there's LaToya Jackson, there's Coolio, there's Terry Christian, Tina Malone, I can't remember who else was there, and they were all literally like worshipping me and going, Chesney! I was like, okay, I don't think my life could get any more surreal than this.
Can we just imagine that initial call to be like, you what now?
You want me to what? Where? Yeah. That's what it was like. It's very weird.
I love it.
And there's an addendum to that story, because that was obviously the last day of that particular challenge. Then they had this weird shrine, and they were like, "Well, do you want it?" I was like, not really, but my mum said, I want it. So they live on the river, right? So it got delivered to my mum and dad's place on the river, and they put this shrine out on the decking of the river, on the dock there, right? So all these people were going past, and they're seeing this, what looks like a frigging shrine to me. And so then had people going past and saying, is Chesney dead? So they had to take it away, And I remember my mum once told this story of like, there's this whole bunch of squaddies going past on the boat, and they were like, what's the matter with Chesney? What's wrong with Chesney? And she's like, no, he's fine. He's my son. And this was from, they had to explain the whole bloody thing. It's for Big Brother, and then this happened. And so they came over, and my mum sent me this picture. I live in the States now, and I got this picture of about 15 squaddies with my mum and the shrine. Oh, it's classic.
I've made it. You've made it in life when that happens. When you got 50 squares with a shrine of you, that's it. Life complete. You don't do music anymore.
I'm done. I'm done.
So what's happened to Chesney? Nothing. I'm just a very proud mother.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Exactly. So funny.
Oh, my days.
But, oh, God. It's Karen, what we were saying earlier, you never gave up on music. You continued that passion to point now with 6 studio albums.
Oh, now we lost Jamie for a minute there. You're back again. Go on, carry on, mate.
Yeah.
I was saying, to carry on what we were saying earlier, I was like, you carried that passion on to the point you got 6 studio albums. And the thing that we wanted to ask you about today is you've just released a box set called The Complete Picture.
Yes.
So, can you tell us more about the set, what's in it, and why you decided to put something like this together?
Well, as I said, it was kind of through the pandemic that the record company actually approached me and said, do you want to maybe put together kind of, all of your albums into one thing, into a box set? I was like, never really thought about that. But yeah, it was 30 years since the One and Only at that point. And I thought, well, yeah, why not? It might be, for me, it was like a way that I could kind of like show that I hadn't just disappeared and become a taxi driver or ended up in porn or something. So...
Wouldn't surprise me.
No. Well, there was this one time.
You want to see why I'm
Very good. Oh my God. So I obviously, once an artist, always an artist. I never stopped. I carried on making music. I carried on writing music, making records, and I've got an amazing, beautiful fan base that have stuck with me and have carried on, coming to my gigs and buying my records and everything else. So yeah, I thought it was a good point to kind of draw a line there under 30 years since the One and Only, and put this thing together. I've got a new album that I'm bringing out next year, and I thought, this is an interesting point in my career. I've just turned 50, and I thought, why not? Also, the record company were willing to put it together and pay for it. I was like, yeah, I guess why not?
Perfect.
So we did it, and it was actually really, really well received. And since we put that box set out, I've had a lot of people discovering songs that I'd written in the meantime, if you know what I mean. And that, I had a really lovely message a couple of days ago, actually, from some guy who found my song "John Lennon Lived Here," which is a song I wrote about first time I went to New York. And I've told you a little bit about my John Lennon kind of history. It's within my fan base and my songs. That is probably my most requested song, apart from the One and Only. But it's nice that it's getting a little bit of, some of my other music is getting recognition too, and I've, as an artist, found that really kind of rewarding, that's really nice. So yeah, there's my reasonings. There you go.
Sorry, Jay.
I was just going to say, are there any songs off the box that you really suggest people to go check out? Something in your back catalogue you're like, I'm really proud of this song. Because personally, I'm going to say, Don't Just Stand There. It's a great song.
Oh, cool. Yeah, no, I've always liked that song as well. Yeah, I mean, there's a couple, as an artist, I mean, they're like your babies, aren't they? So I really like my album Real Life Love, which I recorded in Norway. And it's a very kind of an introspective album, kind of a little bit more mellow than you would expect from a Chesney Hawkes record, as it were. That record has John Lennon Lived Here on it. There's a song on there called Caught Up in Circles, which is another song that I'm always getting requested. There's a song there on that record called Flashback Heroin, which I'm very proud of. I mean, it's hard. I can't choose. It's like trying to choose a favourite child.
And it's this person.
Yeah. I do have a favourite child, but I wouldn't tell any of them.
Yeah. That's how the game works, isn't it? It's always the one that asks you. Oh, it's definitely you.
Yeah, so it's you. Yeah, it's for sure. Yeah. It's you. Yeah.
But funny you mentioned Caught Up in Circles as well. That's exactly what I was just about to say, because I was listening to that album. And I really, really loved and enjoyed Caught Up in Circles, and always will. But like I said, it's it's much more mellow, and I was just really, it's one of those things I just got lost listening to it. Love it, brilliant, absolutely.
Oh, great! No, thank you. I mean, a lot of those, it's with any songs. As you get older, you become a little bit more introspective in your life, and a lot of them really come from the heart and really mean something, and it's no different with this latest album that I'm putting out, hopefully early next year. You know, sometimes songs just have to come out. It's like a cathartic thing, you know. And a lot of those songs on that record were like that, for sure.
Do you have moments where you're like in the shower or somewhere where you've got no access to your phone or whatever, and you start singing a melody in your head and you're like, oh my God, let's get this down.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Oh, that happens a lot, yeah. And I've done that where I've actually woken up singing something, or you know, had a dream where I'm writing something, or I'm even in the studio and I'm recording something that is new, like whatever, and I've woken up and I have to kind of like force myself to get up and get my phone or write it down or something like that, and some of those have actually become songs. It's crazy. So it just shows you how much your kind of subconscious mind is working at all times, you know, like it's amazing. And it's like sometimes these songs you feel like, did I write that, or did it just kind of arrive? It just kind of like come from somewhere, you know. That's one of the things I love about what I do. Like, and any kind of creative arts, you know, it's like a painter who walks into a room with a blank canvas and walks out with a masterpiece, or you know, just a thing. It's, you know, and the process of writing songs to me is just incredible, and I still love that, and I still think it's a magical thing.
I love it. Just obviously, a minute ago we were talking about things you've done, like Big Brother and Joseph the Technicolor Dreamcoat and all this sort of stuff. But as I was doing my research just before we came on, I was like checking and seeing what was going on. Did I see you've been in Hollyoaks recently?
Yes.
I can't say I'm up to date with my Hollyoaks.
Nor am I. I've never seen it. And they approached me. This was very recently, actually. And apparently there was some characters that were getting married, and it was like a big kind of season ender thing, and it was like an hour-long special or something like that. And they apparently the bride was a big fan of mine, and I guess the groom booked me, or as my friends like to call him. So they booked him, and so I went up to Liverpool and was on set for half a day, and it was a mad experience. Really lovely people, great production, and the cast were really nice, and I had a great time. And literally all I did was like I waited around for hours, and then and they said, okay, so you're on. So I was like, I walked on. Of course, they wanted me to wear the leather jacket and all that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah,
you know. And so I literally just walked in to this set. Yeah, I've still got it. I've still got that old leather jacket. And I turned up on set, and there was a wedding set there, and they were like, okay, just go in and play the song. I was like, really? What? Just walk in and do it? And they were like, yeah, just do it. And I had a guitar. I just walked in and said, oh, hey guys, it's me. That's kind of what they used, you know. It's basically just me playing guitar in front of the crowd, the wedding set there, and they all got up and danced around, and that was it. And then a couple of weeks later, it was on TV.
Well, there we go.
Another one of those weird moments in my life, you know.
Go on, Joe.
I just wasn't expecting it because I was doing my research, did more questions, and then I was like, before we came back on today, I was like, let me just double check, see if I haven't missed anything. I was like, you're like, Hollyoaks? What?
Yeah, there's loads of little things like that in my career, just like odd moments. Like I played a drug dealer in The Bill once.
Did you?
Yeah. Colin the drug dealer. Yeah, you can find it on YouTube. If you just go put Chesney Hawkes The Bill, it'll come up. Yeah.
Amazing.
Very weird.
I know, I'm doing after this. I love how they obviously looked at you and went, yeah, classic. He definitely looks like one. We'll have him.
Yeah. I probably was one at the time. No, I'm joking. Typecast.
Before we get, because obviously you mentioned musicals at the beginning, but just before we jump into that, because I know you're strapped for time, etc. But my partner's mother came to see you in Newport at Tredegar Park. They did a festival back on the 4th of June, and she said you were absolutely excellent. Just want me to pass that message on.
Well, that's very good to hear. I will send my love to her.
I will. Don't you worry. But yes, so you're also part of musicals as well. You said you finished writing one.
Yes, yeah, that was something I've been working on for many years, and we were just about to get it on a stage, I think, here in the UK, but just at the beginning of 2020. So so that kind of put a spanner in that works, and So what we decided to do through the pandemic is record a kind of quasi cast album. So I found singers that I knew could do it justice, and I also included my own vocals in there, and we made a record. And I didn't put it out properly. I put it out on YouTube, so it's on my YouTube account.
Okay. And
it's called The One, and it's I kind of wanted to do it this way around to see if we could get some interest from now that the pandemic is starting to kind of come to a close, and theatres are now open and everything, and perhaps I'll try and get that back on a stage at some point, maybe next year. Yeah.
Do it. I'll watch that. I'll come. Definitely.
Good.
Definitely.
Well, that's one. That's one.
Yeah.
That's two. I got.
I'll be at the front going, Chesney said he was proud of me.
Perfect.
So what is next for you then? What have you got working on that's coming out?
Well, right now I'm touring, supporting the box set, and I've got loads of gigs on at the moment. If anyone's interested in coming out to see me, chesneyhawkes.com. I've got the musical, which I'm going to start doing next year, I think. I've got a new album coming out next year as well. I've got a podcast, which literally launched today. It's called Ferguson Harrington Hawks. So if you're interested in that, that's fhhpod.com. No, fhhpodcast.com. Sorry. See, it's so new, I don't even know what's going on. God, what else? There's loads of things. I'm taking over the reins of the Tremeloes. So I'm going on tour as the Tremeloes later this year, October, November. Oh, wow. So if anyone's interested in coming and see him playing, doing Tremeloes songs, 60sgold.com is on that one. So I think that's enough to keep me going, isn't it, boys?
Yeah, I think so.
That's why you're there at the house now. Your dad's using guitars behind you, so like knight you with Excalibur to pass on the
No, that's kind of what's happening, to be honest, because he's not been well, bless him. So I had to take over some of the tour last year, and that's why I've agreed to do this tour, and I'm hoping that Dad will be able to come along and do a few with me, but we'll see.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed, hopefully that'll be the case. But a question I ask every musician, music videos.
Yeah.
Love them or hate them?
I love them as pieces of artistic work. I love watching them. I'm not a fan of making them. I never feel.
It's a common response.
Yeah. It's true. They always do the close-up shot at 4 a.m. after you've been performing for 24 hours or something like that, and I don't know. It's hard work. I'm never happy with my performances on videos. I always think I just look a bit awkward or something. I mean, as years have gone on, I think I've got a little bit more comfortable in my own skin. But I'm not a dancer. So a lot of the time you kind of have to move in some certain ways. You know what I mean? It's like that's why I don't mind the performance ones. They're not so bad because I just do my shit, just do my thing. Just get out there, play guitar, and just do it. But I like the idea of it. Kind of gets my juices flowing, thinking about a good idea for a music video. But most of the time, it just doesn't come to fruition properly, in my what was in my head, So it's an interesting one. I like working with people that are really good at it, that are really good directors and stuff like that. But the actual making of them, I think that's probably the same for most people. I know Nik feels that way for sure.
It's the most common thing I get is literally what you just said. It's like love watching them because I think they're fantastic, but the actual making of them and whatnot is you get shots at 3 a.m. where you're like, can you get that light out my face?
Exactly. Because at 3 a.m. you become northern, don't you? That's how it works.
Yeah, that's what happens. In the day,
you're from London, and then when so maybe it's like a kind of a Cinderella thing. You get to midnight, and then you suddenly turn northern. It's like fucking hell. Get that bloody light out of my face.
What fuck's going on here? And then become brummy if you're from Liverpool.
Yes. Suddenly.
What's going on here then, mate?
Yeah, bloody hell.
And it's just like Ringo and Paul. I don't know. So before we let you get out, we do have a couple of fan questions if you're okay to answer those.
Yes, far away, mate.
James Stafford wants to know, you used to have wonderful big blonde hair like him. Why did you go and cut it? You were part of an army together.
Well, because I got older. It's like as simple as that. I mean, if I had that haircut now, I'd look like a bit of a doofus, maybe. I don't know. My son, my 16-year-old son, has it. He looks like me in '91 right now. But I don't know. I think you have to grow old some kind of gracefully. I don't know. Maybe parts of me is growing old disgracefully, but not my hair.
No, yeah, I like it. James, basically what we're trying to say is it's time to cut your hair.
It's time to grow up, mate. It's time to grow up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Gemma Williams wants to know, how was your hearing after having so many young girls screaming at you during your teenager?
Yeah, that was tough, actually, trying to play live. Because back then, it was before the in-ear systems came along, so it was all what we call monitor wedges, so they were just there. So sometimes it's really hard to hear the monitor wedges through the screams. It was... And I remember seeing interviews with the Beatles saying, complaining about that, like, we just want to be able to hear our music, and all we can hear is these screams, So I can relate to it. I can, but it was great times. I mean, it's very exciting, like that part of it is actually like it's kind of crazy. It's a weird thing to do, isn't it? A scream over if you like someone's music. Why would you scream while they're playing? I'm sure you want to listen to it.
That's such a good point.
It's like it drowns out the music.
Yeah. Do you want to sing along? No, I want to shout at him, is what I want to do.
How else will you know I am his one true love unless I scream at him?
Yeah.
Well, that's it, yeah. But I think maybe it becomes like a kind of one of those crowd things, like where one's screaming and then if she's screaming, I've got to scream. And then suddenly everyone's screaming. It's like, why are we screaming? I don't know! We're just screaming!
My wife, Becky Westwood, says she wants to know if you could collaborate with anyone else, dead or alive, who would it be? And she also wanted me to add, which is weird for me to say, to tell you that you've aged like a fine wine, sir.
Oh, thank you. Is that like what, corked? Well, thank you, Becky. Both of those. One was a question, one was more of a statement, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah.
An observation, I say.
Yes, an observation.
I would say two people, Prince and John Lennon. How about that? Both
Great
dead.
answers.
Both never going to happen, unfortunately.
You're not setting yourself up for disappointment if you choose people who can't happen, so it's fine.
No, unless there is a heaven. But imagine there's no heaven, though.
I don't suppose you're here a week, are you, Ches?
Yeah, I'm here all week.
And last but not least, although you've probably heard this question a billion times, it's just too good and I could not end on it. Melissa Daly wants to know, are you still the one and only, or did someone take that away from you?
That's good. That's good. I see what she did there.
Yeah.
It's weird because people ask that question and I don't ever really know how to answer it because I don't really know what it means. What does it mean to be the one and only? If I look at it in a kind of philosophical way, then yeah, because there's only one me. So
Love it.
I am the one and only. There you go. But it also means that you are the one and only too.
Yes, I like it.
So there you go.
Chesney Hawkes is proud of me and he thinks I'm the one and only. Best day ever! Chez, this was so much fun. Thank you so much. Before we let you go, Tom, do you have any more questions?
Yeah, one final one if you've got time for it.
Go for it.
But essentially, when you first started out, I know you come from a rock and roll background, family-wise and whatnot. But did you ever think, now at age 50, that this is where your life would get to? That you'd have cross the paths you have, etc.?
No, not at all. I mean, life has an amazing way of, just throwing kind of crazy stuff that you would never have imagined would happen to you. So I guess as a kid, I saw my trajectory as I'm going to be a successful musician, and that's that. I always had that in my head, and so whatever whatever path that was, and I'd seen my dad's friends and people, have that kind of trajectory. I guess I thought that would be my trajectory in life. But you don't know who you're going to meet. You don't know what's going to happen. So, I mean, how on earth could I have known that I'm going to be sitting here talking to you crazy lads? 30 years after those days, But I'm glad I am, and I'm glad it happened that way.
Yeah, who knew you got a shrine built to you in the middle of Boreham Wood and some house that like the celebrities got locked in, snapping your limbs.
Exactly, and who knew that I was going to be eating kangaroo anus next year?
Yeah, exactly. In Australia, guys, not here in Wales. Australia.
Yeah, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I'll wait till they get back to Australia before I do that show. Yeah.
If I'm going to do it, I'm doing it properly. All right.
Yeah, bloody Wales. That's like Celebrity Light. Sorry.
Yeah, it so is. It's so true.
Exactly.
It's so spot on. Oh, it's not too bad actually. It saves us, just cover the cost of going over to Australia, taking loads of people with us, all the production crew, etc., etc. Let's have it here in Britain.
I think the production company probably think we're saving ourselves a bloody fortune here.
Oh, absolutely.
The trouble is, the spiders are only that big, so doesn't work.
It's crawling through those little caves. Like, I hope there's no. Is that all you've got?
It's just a house spider.
Yeah.
Okay.
The one just sits there and waits. It's like, shit, why is someone in here with me? Can someone get this person out of my cave, please?
I never thought of bringing it to an end doing an impression of a house spider in Wales.
That's
so we are.
You see what I mean about life? You never know what's coming.
Exactly.
You never know what's going to be.
Exactly.
Chesney, this has been so much fun. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thanks for having me on, guys. It's really been fun for me as well. I've really enjoyed it.
I'm pleased. I loved it. So, seriously, man, thank you. I hope that boat gets sorted. Yeah,
I'm going to go check them out now. I can see they're still over there, so it's not sorted yet.
And
that British thing is saying, it's not done yet, lads.
No, just stand there looking at them.
Yeah. I see what you did there. I like it. Yeah.
All right, very nice. Yes.
It's not how I would have done it.
It's
not how I would have done it, lads, but I see what you're doing.
I see what you did with that air filter.
Yeah. Have you swabbed that deck yet? Or whatever it is, boat, I don't know.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Swab the deck.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll ask him. I'll ask him for you. Tom.
I appreciate that. Yeah, thank you. Hopefully it's swabbed enough. Or whatever it is they do. I have no idea. But still. Yeah. Have a great day, my friend. Take it easy, and hopefully we'll get you on again soon.
That'll be great. I'd love to come back with you guys. That was really fun. Yeah. So
thank you, sir.
Talk to Leanne. I guess you must have talked to Leanne, right?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Right, brilliant.
I'll take care, sir.
Again.
See you later.
Until next time.
We look forward to it. See you later, Chesney.
Cheers, guys.
Bye.
Just so much fun. Like, my face hurt from laughing after doing this interview.
Definitely, the Big Brother story is definitely my favourite by a country mile. But I also hope that people enjoy my impression of a Welsh spider.
That was glorious. And I want you all to remember that Chesney is proud of me. That was the highlight of my life, that was.
We really hope that you guys enjoy listening to it as much as we did recording it.
All right, is this thing on?
Well, howdy doody, everybody.
This is Braden Berry from Say We Can Fly It, founder of Stay Cozy Clothing, your one-stop shop for the coziest, most fashionable hoodies, t-shirts, and more.
Gosh, Mickey.
That's right, folks. And we're proud to say that we are now sponsoring
the Chronicles of Podcast. Ouch.
Hosted by Tom and Jamie.
Like, you can get 10% off, man.
That's right, Shaggy. Just use the special code, The Chronicles, at checkout.
Oh, boys.